Darius Venn stood at the edge of his private landing pad, watching a silver shuttle descend through the clouds above Neo-Toronto's upper atmosphere. His hands were inside the pockets of his long black coat, his expression calm but thoughtful. The woman arriving today was not special, not to anyone else, at least. But to him, she was his best option in a strange, desperate plan. The powerful Venn family was gathering for their once-a-decade reunion, this time on Jupiter Station. And his grandmother, the iron-willed matriarch, had made one thing clear. Arrive with a woman, or don't arrive at all. He had no intention of falling in love or choosing from the long line of rich, cold candidates his family wanted. So instead, he chose someone no one would expect, a stranger from the orbital slums of Earth. A woman named Alina Moradot. As the shuttle door opened, a slim figure stepped out. Alina wore a simple gray coat, her short black hair a little messy. Her steps confident but quiet. She looked around the landing pad calmly before walking toward Darius. "You're taller than I imagined," she said, her voice smooth and even. "And you're calmer than expected," Darius replied. They shook hands. Hers was strong, warm. Not like the delicate, polished hands of the elite women Darius had met before. "You know the deal?" he asked. Alina nodded. "You need a fiancé for 1 week. Someone to smile, stand beside you, and say the right things at the right times. In return, I get 50,000 credits and a new ID registration. No real feelings. No drama," Darius added. "No secrets either," she said quietly. "At least not from each other." Darius paused, surprised. She wasn't nervous. Not even curious about his family's power or status. "Why did you accept this job?" he asked. Alina looked up at the sky for a moment. "I need the credits. And I want out of the slums. That's honest enough, isn't it?" Fair enough, Darius thought. He motioned for her to follow him into the sleek black shuttle waiting nearby. Inside, the seats were soft and warm, lined with high-tech controls and holographic windows. Alina sat beside him without hesitation. "You don't look like someone from the slums," he said as the shuttle rose into the sky. "People wear what they can afford," she answered simply. "But class isn't just clothes." Her voice had a calm strength to it. Darius wasn't sure if she was acting or just being herself. Either way, it was impressive. As they flew toward the family spaceport, Darius opened a small holographic file. "This has everything you need: names, family roles, past stories. We'll go over it all before we land on Jupiter Station." Alina scanned the file quickly, eyes sharp. "This cousin here," she said, pointing. "He doesn't like you." "Does he?" Darius raised an eyebrow. "No. He thinks I'm soft because I built my own ship company instead of joining the Venn military business." She smirked. "Then he'll test me first." "You learn fast," Darius said. "I had to." The next few hours passed in quiet preparation. Alina learned fast, asked smart questions, and remembered even the smallest details. She didn't talk much about her past, but she didn't avoid it either. She spoke of her life in the orbital slums, working on broken tech, fixing old drones, and surviving in a world where no one cared who you were unless you owed them something. When they finally arrived at the massive Jupiter station, the scene changed completely. Everything was polished, floating, grand. Lights danced across the walls, and luxury ships came and went like stars, blinking in and out of existence. The Venn family estate floated near the central ring, protected by security drones and layered defense shields. Darius turned to Alina as they entered the estates. "Gravity dome. Last chance to back out," he said. She shook her head. "I've come this far." They stepped into the grand hall together. Marble floors, gold-trimmed columns. A 1,000-year-old tree from Earth's last forest stood in the center. Members of the Venn family turned to see them. There were whispers, curious glances, raised brows. Darius's cousin Marek gave a crooked grin. His grandmother, seated on her floating throne, narrowed her eyes. "And who is this?" she asked. Darius stepped forward. "Grandmother, this is Alina Mora, my fiancée." The room went quiet. Alina stepped forward calmly, gave a graceful nod, and smiled. "It's an honor to meet you," she said. Her voice was soft but clear and confident. The matriarch studied her closely. Then, after a long pause, she said, "We'll see if you mean that by the end of the week." As they were led to their rooms, Darius leaned closer to Alina. "You handled that well." "She's sharp," Alina replied. "But she's not the one I'm worried about." Darius glanced at her. "Who are you worried about?" Alina looked ahead, eyes steady. "I'm not sure yet, but something feels off here." Darius laughed lightly. "You're pretending to be my fiancée in the most powerful family gathering in the solar system, and we're the ones lying. But you're worried." "Something's off." Alina's reply was quiet but serious. "Because I'm not the only one pretending." Alina stood near the window of their guest chamber, watching stars drift like dust beyond the glass wall. Jupiter glowed in the distance, huge, red gold, alive with storm bands. She had never seen it this close. The light of the gas giant cast soft shadows across the elegant room, filled with warm colors and priceless art. Behind her, Darius was adjusting his suit for the evening gathering. "We'll meet most of the family tonight," he said, checking his reflection. "Stay close. Just smile and nod if anything feels odd." Alina nodded without looking at him. "How many of them hate you?" he smiled. "More than a few. But I'm used to it." Alina turned around and picked up a small black cube from a nearby table. It was a Venn memory crystal used for storing personal data. "Your family has everything," she said, "but they look like they trust no one." "That's because we don't," Darius replied. "We build weapons, starships, and defense networks. Trust is expensive." He paused and glanced at her. "You're not like them, Alina. That's why this might work." That night, they entered the grand gallery. It was bright, loud, and filled with people in elegant suits, long robes, and glittering jewelry. Floating servers carried trays of glowing drinks and silver canapes. There were holograms of old space battles, family victories, and historical alliances lighting up the corners of the hall. Darius kept a calm smile. Alina walked beside him, quiet but confident, wearing a silver dress that shimmered like moonlight. She had memorized everything: names, titles, past events. But none of that prepared her for the real test. The first to approach was Marek, Darius's cousin, sharp-eyed, always smiling like he knew a secret. "Darius," he said, voice smooth. "And this must be the mystery woman from Earth?" Alina smiled. "Alina Mora, it's a pleasure." Marek shook her hand gently, but his eyes studied her. "Earth, you say? Which city?" "Old Toronto," Alina answered. "Sector 9, near the upper docks." "Ah," he said with a slight smirk. "Rough place. You survived well." "I didn't just survive," she replied. "I learned fast." Darius nearly laughed. Marek gave a polite nod and moved on, but he would return. That was certain. Next came his Aunt Filana, who once negotiated peace during a Martian rebellion. She asked Alina 3 questions in perfect Martian dialect. Without missing a beat, Alina replied flawlessly. Darius blinked. "Where did you learn that?" he asked in surprise once they moved on. "I had a Martian neighbor in the slums." Alina replied casually. "He taught me some words." "Those weren't just some words." Alina shrugged. "Languages are like tools. You use what helps you survive." As the evening went on, more family members came, testing her, watching her, smiling fake smiles. And Alina passed every test, deflecting every doubt with grace and charm. She didn't act like a poor mechanic from Earth. She carried herself like someone who belonged there. Maybe even more than Darius did. Later, they were summoned to sit near the matriarch. Grandmother Ven sat in a golden chair that hovered slightly above the floor. Her face was lined with age, her white hair tied into a long braid. her eyes sharp like laser scans. "Alina," she said calmly, "you impress them." Alina gave a small bow. "Thank you, Mom. But you don't impress me yet." Alina kept her eyes steady. "That's fair." Grandmother's lips curved slightly. "Where did you learn to carry yourself like this? You speak like a diplomat. You walk like you trained in lunar courts." "I grew up poor," Alina said. "But I watched, I listened, I learned." "That's not a real answer." "No," Alina said, "it's not. But I think you'll accept it for now." A silence fell over the group. Darius expected anger, maybe cold dismissal. Instead, Grandmother laughed softly. "You're different." "I like that for now." They walked away together afterward. Darius leaned in. "You just challenged the most powerful woman in our family and survived." "She asked for honesty," Alina said. "And I gave her what I could." As they reached their private hallway, Darius turned to her. "You're not just some random woman, are you?" Alina raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "You've been perfect. You speak Martian, read family history better than I do, and know how to face down political giants. Are you sure you're just a mechanic from Sector 9? She looked him in the eye. "I've fixed things all my life, Darius. Machines, lies, broken people. You paid for a role, and I'm playing it." "That's not an answer either." "No," she said softly, "it's not." That night, while Darius was in a private meeting, Alina walked the garden balcony alone. The stars overhead glittered quietly, and the glow of Jupiter pulsed like a heartbeat. She reached into her dress pocket and pulled out a small, worn pendant. Inside it, a chipped old hologram played. A child, a woman, a man. A family long gone. Alina whispered, "Not yet. I need more time." Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. It was Marek. "Strange night for fresh air," he said. "I like silence," she replied. Marek leaned on the balcony rail beside her. "You don't belong here." Alina turned to him. "Neither do you." "But here we are," he smirked. "You're hiding something." "So are you." "I'll find out what it is," he said. "Maybe," she replied. "But maybe I'm not the only one pretending." Marek narrowed his eyes but said nothing more. He walked away with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Alina stood alone again, her face unreadable. She looked back at the stars and whispered, "Let the game begin." The next morning on Jupiter Station, Darius woke earlier than usual. The artificial sun in their guest room rose slowly, casting a golden glow across the floor. He glanced around. Alina wasn't in her bed. He stepped out onto the balcony and found her already there, sipping a warm cup of synth tea. She wore a simple blue robe and stared out at the stars, like they were speaking to her. "You don't sleep much, do you?" Darius asked. "Not when I'm surrounded by people who pretend." "All day," Alina replied quietly. Darius leaned on the railing next to her. "You're not bad at pretending yourself." She glanced at him. "That's what I was hired for." Darius gave a small smile but didn't respond. There was something strange about her, something he couldn't explain. She wasn't just smart, she was trained. She acted like she had walked among powerful people before. After breakfast, the Venn family attended a private legacy tour in the estate's memory chamber. A huge silver door slid open, revealing a high-ceilinged hall lined with glowing pillars. Each pillar displayed moments from the family's past. Treaties signed, wars won, technologies invented. Alina moved slowly through the room, her eyes studying every light and image. She paused before one particular memory, a failed colony mission known as Project Heirloom. "This was one of your family's darkest failures," she said softly. Darius looked at the hologram. "Yeah, the project was supposed to help humans live beyond the edge of the solar system. But the ships were lost. No survivors were ever found. Or maybe no one looked hard enough," Alina replied. Her voice was steady. But something in her tone made Darius stare at her. How do you know about heirloom? That was more than 70 years ago. Even I don't know much. Alina gave a small shrug. I read your family's public records. Those don't have this level of detail, he said firmly. You said you were from Sector 9, but no one from the slums knows about this. Who are you really? Alina didn't answer. She walked away before he could ask again. Later that day, while Alina was in a fashion meeting with the Venn women, Darius pulled up her ID profile using a secured family terminal. Her name came up Alina Mora, but the details were thin. Too thin. She had no school records, no birth certificate from any Earth city, and her ID net registration only started 2 years ago. That was impossible. Even slum children had data trails. Darius frowned. Something was wrong. He used his personal access code and checked deeper, accessing government class data logs. That's when he saw it. Alina Mora, status unregistered. Prior to age 22. DNA origin, unknown colonist class. Biomarkers. Modified, his heart raced. Modified. That meant she wasn't born in any of the central systems. She might be from the outer rings or worse, deep space colonies long thought dead or disconnected from the system. That night, he found her on the observation deck. You lied to me, he said quietly. Alina didn't turn around. You hired a fake fiancé, Darius. You never asked for truth. I asked for trust. That's different. She turned now, her eyes calm but serious. What do you want to know? Where are you really from? Alina took a long breath. I was born on a colony called Lysra. One of the last ships from Project Heirloom made it there. My people were left behind, no support, no contact, no supplies. We learned to survive on our own. Darius was silent for a moment. But how? Did you end up on Earth? A trade ship crash-landed near Lysra when I was a child. I hid aboard it when it left. That's how I reached the outer rings. Then I made my way to Earth. You've lived in hiding ever since? Yes, she replied. Because I'm different. The people on Lysra were changed, modified to live in deep space. We heal faster, think quicker, age slower. Darius took a step back. So why accept this job? Alina looked up at him. Because I needed access to your family. You hold something we've been looking for, something connected to Heirloom. And I needed time to see if you could be trusted. He stared at her. So I was the one being tested. Alina gave a small, sad smile. Yes. Silence fell between them. Outside, Jupiter's great storm swirled in the distance. Darius finally spoke. You should have told me. You wouldn't have believed me, she replied. Would you? He didn't answer. Suddenly, alarms sounded in the corridor. Red lights flashed, and a voice came over the speakers. Security breach in Sector 12. Unauthorized access detected. Darius and Alina ran out together. Guards were already surrounding one of the family's vault chambers. Inside, the high-level security core was glowing strangely. Someone had tried to access the system. Marek stood nearby, arms crossed. He turned to Darius and said coldly, she was near this section 10 minutes ago. Everyone turned to Alina. Went to the archive, she said calmly. I wasn't inside the vault. Marek stepped closer. No one even knows this hallway exists unless they've been here before. Funny, isn't it? Darius stood between them. That's enough, Marek. The security chief scanned Alina's ID bracelet. She didn't open the door, he said. No logs show her touching the vault. Marek looked frustrated but said nothing more. As the group left, Darius grabbed Alina's arm gently. Did you try to access that vault? She looked at him. No, but I know what's inside. What? She leaned in close and whispered. The last piece of Project Heirlooms? Mission, a beacon. A call that was never sent. The next morning, the Venn family held a private meeting inside the Celestial Hall, a glass-walled room floating above the main estate. The view of Jupiter and its moons filled the sky beyond, but no one was paying attention to the stars. Tension buzzed in the air like a low electric hum. The night before, someone had tried to access a secret vault. And now, everyone wanted answers. Grandmother Ven sat at the center table, surrounded by family elders, cousins, and advisors. Darius stood at her left side. Alina, silent but composed, stood on his right. Marek paced near the windows. We cannot ignore this. Someone tried to break into a high-security vault. It could have been sabotage, or theft, maybe even a spy. His eyes locked on Alina. She was seen in the corridor, Marek added. And she's not part of this family. Darius stepped forward. There's no proof Alina entered that room. The logs show no access. You're using this to push your own agenda. I'm protecting the family, Marek snapped. You're protecting a stranger. Grandmother Ven raised a hand. The room fell silent. Alina Mora, she said slowly, you've handled yourself well. But now we need to know the full truth. No more games. Who are you really? Alina took a breath. She had been waiting for this moment. I told Darius part of it already, she said calmly. But you all deserve to hear everything. She stepped forward, her voice strong. I was born on Lysra, one of the lost colonies from Project Heirloom. Gasps echoed through the room. Someone dropped a glass. That's impossible, one elder said. Those colonies failed. Everyone died. No, Alina said firmly. Not everyone. One ship made it. The colony struggled. Many perished, but some of us survived. We were changed to survive deep space, our bodies stronger, minds sharper. But the price was silence. We were forgotten, abandoned. Grandmother Ven leaned forward. And how did you get here? A trade ship crashed near Lysra when I was a child. I hid inside when it took off. I lived in the shadows of different systems, hiding from scanners, avoiding questions. I made my way to Earth, where I fixed machines and stayed quiet. Until now, Marek said coldly. Alina turned to him. Yes, until now. Because the time for silence is over. Darius looked at her confused. Why now? Why come to my family? Alina's gaze shifted to the far wall, where a holographic display showed the rotating model of a beacon device. Because your family built the final piece of something, meant to save us all, she said. A long-range quantum beacon. One that could call every human colony in the galaxy, including the ones left behind. My people have been searching for that signal for decades. The room was still. Shock and disbelief froze everyone in place. Grandmother Ven broke the silence. Are you saying this family holds the key to reconnecting with the colonies we lost? Yes, Alina said. The beacon was supposed to be activated after the heirloom colonies landed. But someone stopped it. Someone decided they were not worth saving. One of the uncles stood up. That can't be true. We would never, would you? Alina interrupted. You abandoned them in silence, let them die in the dark. And now that I'm here, you're still afraid to face the truth. The elder sat down, shame covering his face. Darius turned to his grandmother. Is any of this true? The old woman closed her eyes slowly. When she opened them again, they were colder than ever. Long ago, she began, when Project Heirloom was in motion, our family helped design the ships and the backup plans. But when the colonies went dark, we chose not to waste more resources. We declared them failed and turned our focus back to the core worlds. You chose to leave them behind? Darius said in disbelief. There were risks, political pressure. We made a decision, she said sharply. A hard one. Alina stepped closer, but now the risk is different. Something is stirring in the far systems. Old tech, non-human tech. My people found signs of it waking. If the beacon had worked, maybe we would have had help. But instead, we had silence. A wave of murmurs spread through the room. You're saying there's a threat? Marek said, crossing his arms. More stories? What proof do you have? Alina pulled a small device from her dress pocket. A soft blue light glowed in her hand. When she activated it, a hologram lit up above her palm, faint images of ruined machines, dead colonies, strange alien symbols carved into asteroid walls. We found these near the edge of known space, she said. Something old, something not human, and it's moving closer. Grandmother Ven stood slowly. Her expression was unreadable. You bring danger into our home, and you speak of forgotten colonies and unknown threats. Why should we believe you? Alina looked her in the eyes. Because I didn't come here to steal, she said. I came to give you a chance to do the right thing. Again. Silence followed. Finally, Darius spoke. We should activate the beacon. Send the signal. Connect the colonies. Prepare for what's coming. No, said Marek quickly. We can't trust her. We don't even know who else she works with. She's trying to save lives, Darius said. Isn't that what family legacy should stand for? Grandmother Ven stared at the hologram, then at Alina. If this is true, she said slowly, then we may owe more than just an apology. We may owe our survival. She turned to the others. Bring me the beacon files. I want to see them myself. Alina's hand tightened slightly, hiding the shake of emotion in her fingers. The room slowly emptied. The mood changed from doubt to duty. As Alina and Darius walked back down the long hallway, he finally asked, Why did you trust me? Alina looked at him with a faint smile. Because even when you lied, you listened. That's rare. Darius nodded, unsure what the future would bring, but certain now that this woman, once a stranger, had awakened something in his world that would never sleep again. The echo of footsteps followed Darius and Alina through the silver corridors of the Ven estate. The family meeting had ended, but the storm it stirred was only beginning. Everyone now knew the truth about the lost colony, the beacon, and the ancient danger that waited in deep space. Darius looked at Alina as they walked. Her face was calm, but her eyes were alert, as if listening to something only she could hear. Is it true? He asked quietly. What you showed them, the alien tech, the carvings, all of it. Alina stopped beside a glass wall and looked out at the stars. Yes, it's real. We don't know who made it, but we know what it does. What does it do? It wakes up old machines, giant ones that were left sleeping long before humans ever reached the outer systems. They react to certain signals, and now they're waking. Darius felt a chill run through him. Why now? We think it started after Earth began expanding again, mining too far, digging into places we didn't understand. The first signs came in the form of missing ships, then broken signals, and now full dead colonies. Darius turned to face her. And your people, the ones from Lysra, they've seen these machines? Alina nodded. We've lost over 5 settlements already, no survivors. Only wreckage. And no one believed us until now. Darius walked in silence for a moment, then said, And you still came here to ask for help? I had to, Alina replied. Your family built the beacon. If we send the signal now, maybe others will answer. We need all of humanity connected, united before it's too late. As they entered the beacon control chamber, Grandmother Ven stood waiting, surrounded by engineers and analysts. On a large screen, the beacon prototype spun slowly, a black and silver orb the size of a human head, covered in shifting lights. I've studied the old files, Grandmother said without turning. Alina was right. We stopped the beacon from being activated. We were afraid it would bring more enemies than allies. Darius stepped forward. But now we know the real enemy is already coming. She turned to him. Yes, and we must choose now whether to face it alone or together. She looked at Alina. You said others like you exist. Colonies forgotten by the central systems. Yes, Alina said. Some are still alive, others barely. But if we light the beacon, they'll know. They'll come. What if the machines come too? Marek's voice cut in as he entered the room. He had been listening from the doorway. They might, Alina said simply. But if we don't light it, we'll stand alone. And alone, we will fall. Marek scoffed. You ask us to risk everything. Based on fear. No, Alina replied. I ask you to hope. That's harder than fear. Darius looked at Marek. We need to act. This isn't about politics anymore. Marek looked between them, his jaw tight. Then, without a word, he turned and walked out. Grandmother Ven watched him go. He fears change. Many of us do. But fear cannot guide us anymore. She raised her hand. Activate the beacon. The engineers began typing commands into their consoles. The orb floated higher, glowing brighter, then pulsing with a steady blue light. It sent out a signal silent, invisible, but powerful enough to cross the galaxy. Darius watched it shine. How long until someone answers? Alina stared at the orb. If they're still out there, not long. 2 days passed. No answer. Came. Family members began whispering again. Doubt returned. The Ven board started questioning Alina's story. Even the engineers grew quiet. But on the third night, everything changed. Darius and Alina were in the dining hall when a sharp alarm echoed through the estate. Incoming vessel. Unknown signature. Approaching at high speed. They ran to the main control deck. The station's scanners showed a ship long, dark sharp, like a blade moving through space toward Jupiter Station. Is that one of ours? Darius asked. No. An officer replied. We've never seen this design before. Then a voice came through the comms, crackling, deep, distorted. Beacon detected. Silence is broken. Prepare. The screen turned black. Everyone stood frozen. That was not human. One technician whispered. Then, another alert. Multiple signals detected. Human colonies responding to beacon. Friendly ships en route. The room exploded with noise. Alina stepped forward. The others, they heard it. They're coming. Darius stared at the screen. And so did the machines. He turned to Alina. You said you came to ask for help. What else did you come for? She looked at him with quiet fire in her eyes. I came to warn you, and now, I need you to stand with us. Against what? Alina looked at the stars beyond the glass. Against what's been waiting in the dark. That night, Darius sat alone in his chambers. Everything had changed. He was no longer just a rich man hiding behind a fake engagement. Now he was part of something larger, something terrifying and important. He turned when he heard the soft knock. Alina entered, wearing a dark gray coat. She looked ready for war. I'm leaving tomorrow, she said. I need to return to my people before the machines reach them. Darius stood up. You're going alone? No, she said. You're coming with me. He blinked. Me? You're the only one here who believes in more than just family pride. And you know how to lead. My people will need you. Darius hesitated, then nodded. I'll come. As they looked out the window together, 2 lights appeared in the distance. One blue, one red. One human, one not. The war had begun. And humanity at last was waking up. The shuttle moved smoothly through the quiet black of space, leaving Jupiter Station behind. Darius sat beside Alina, his mind heavy with questions. Just a few days ago, he had been planning to fake a romance to survive a family event. Now he was flying into a possible war beside a woman who might be the galaxy's last hope. Alina checked her equipment silently. She was calm, focused, and unshaken. Every move she made was precise, like someone who had trained for years. Darius had seen soldiers and pilots all his life, but none moved like her. She wasn't just smart, she was prepared. Where exactly are we going? Darius asked finally. Outer system, Alina replied. A hidden moon near the asteroid belt. It's where my people built a base. We call it Haven. Haven, he repeated. A fitting name, she nodded. It's safe. For now. As the shuttle continued, Darius opened a private message on his wristband. It was from Marek. Are you sure about her? Think carefully. You know our family doesn't forgive traitors. He deleted the message without replying. After a few hours, the stars shifted and a small moon came into view. Hidden inside a ring of space debris, the moon looked like a quiet rock. But as they approached, lights flickered beneath the surface. A hatch opened, and the shuttle descended into an underground hangar. Inside, dozens of people moved with quiet purpose. Engineers, doctors, tech workers. They weren't soldiers, but they looked ready for a fight. Alina led Darius through the tunnels. These are survivors from many colonies, she explained. Some from heirloom, others from lost mining ships. We gathered them one by one. And they all believe in the threat? Darius asked. They've seen it, Alina said. Entered a round chamber where a map of the galaxy glowed in the air. Red lights marked areas under danger. Blue lights marked responding colonies. The red was spreading. An older man stepped forward. He had white hair, deep scars, and mechanical fingers. Darius Venn, he said. I never thought I'd see a Venn family member here. Darius nodded. You must be the leader. The man chuckled. No, we don't do leaders here. But I've survived longer than most. Name's Caro. Alina introduced them, then turned serious. Caro, we need to prepare. The machines are coming. They've already touched down on Titan's Edge, Caro said. We lost contact with 2 scout teams. Darius stepped forward. We have technology, weapons. I can bring resources. From my company. Caro looked at him. Why would you help us? Darius replied. Because I finally understand what it means to do something right. I was blind before. Now I see. Caro nodded slowly. Then welcome to the fight. Later that night, Darius stood alone on a cliff near the base. Stars filled the sky above him. He had never felt so small, and yet, he had never felt so sure of his place. Alina joined him quietly. You could have stayed, she said. I know. Left everything behind. Darius looked at her. So did you. They stood together in silence. Then she said, You changed. I had to, he replied. You showed me there's more to life than name and wealth. She turned to him. And now I need to ask you for something harder. He raised an eyebrow. Harder than leaving my entire life behind? Yes, she said. I need your help to activate the second beacon. It's hidden deep in your family's vault on Jupiter Station. Darius froze. That vault is locked. No one goes near it. Not even grandmother. But you can, Alina said. And we need that signal. It can reach even further beyond the galactic rim. There may be colonies there we've never heard from. Darius nodded slowly. I'll go back. But just as they turned, alarms blared through the base. Intruder, alert level 3. Shutdown in progress. Alina's face hardened. Someone's triggered the alarm. They rushed to the control deck. On the screen, a strange signature flickered. Someone was trying to send data off the moon. Hacker. Alina traced the source and froze. The signal was coming from Darius's wristband. Darius looked down in shock. What? I didn't. Caro grabbed his arm and yanked the band off. His fingers moved fast, shutting down the transmission. Everyone stared at Darius. It's a trap. Someone muttered. Alina held up a hand. No, he didn't do it. That code, it's Ven's signature. Someone activated it remotely. Caro looked at her. Can we trust him? Alina's voice didn't waver. Yes, Darius stepped back. Marek, it must be him. He tried to warn me earlier. He doesn't want me helping you. He must have hacked my device. Caro shook his head. We need to move now. They know where we are. Alina turned to Darius. Do you still want to help? He nodded. Yes, more than ever. Then we need to split up, she said. You'll return to Jupiter Station. Get into the vault. Bring us the second beacon. I'll stay and defend Haven. Darius placed his hand over hers. Be careful. You too, she whispered. And just like that, they went in separate directions. One returning to the heart of danger, the other staying to protect a spark of hope. The war had begun. But true trust was now the only weapon they could count on. Darius's shuttle slipped through the glowing tunnels of Jupiter Station. His heart beat fast as he approached the family vault, the place few dared to enter. The station was on high alert, and security drones patrolled every corner. He knew. The risk was great, but the future of humanity might depend on what he could find inside. His wristband beeped quietly. A message flashed. Trust no one. The real enemy is closer than you think. Darius frowned. Who sent it? Marek or someone else? He pushed the thought aside. Now was not the time for doubt. The vault's massive door opened with a low hum. Inside, the walls glowed with streams of data flowing like waterfalls. At the center sat the second beacon, larger than the one at Haven, covered with panels and blinking lights. Darius reached out, his hands trembling slightly. This device could send the quantum signal far beyond anything ever tried. It could connect the scattered colonies, alert allies, and warn of danger. Suddenly, a voice echoed behind him. You shouldn't be here. Darius spun around. Marek stood. In the doorway, arms crossed and eyes cold. You're playing a dangerous game, Darius. I'm playing to save lives, Darius replied firmly. Marek laughed bitterly. You think your family cares about saving lives? They care about power. Darius stepped forward. I'm not my family. And neither are you if you stand in the way of hope. Marek's face hardened. Then you're a fool. Before Darius could react, Marek lunged for a control panel. The room's defense systems activated, laser beams cutting across the air. Darius dodged and grabbed the beacon's core module. I have what I came for. Marek growled and charged, but before he could reach Darius, an alert sounded. Intruder alert. Unknown entity in vault. The vault's lights flickered. Suddenly, the door sealed shut. A new figure appeared in the shadows. A tall woman in a sleek suit, her face calm but strong. Stop this, she said quietly. Darius's breath caught. Alina? She nodded. I came to protect you. Marek snarled, stepping back. This isn't over. Alina moved to Darius's side. We finish this together. The room's defense system powered down slowly, the tension fading. Darius looked at Alina, eyes full of questions. Why didn't you tell me you could come here? I wanted you to trust yourself, she replied. To choose hope over fear. They worked quickly to activate the beacon. The device hummed, then sent out a burst of light, a quantum signal spreading across space. Outside, the stars seemed to pulse with energy. Far away, dormant colonies received the call. Blue lights blinked in distant outposts, ships stirred. Hope ignited. As the signal spread, a message came through the station's comms. To those who listen, we come in peace. We are ready to stand united. Darius smiled, tears in his eyes. You were right, we needed to wake up. Together. Alina took his hand. The truth is hard, but it frees us. Just then, a final message arrived on Darius's wristband. The real enemy was not the machines. It was the silence, the lies. Now we fight for our future, together. Outside the vault, Marek watched from the shadows, his expression unreadable. The game had changed forever.